world. Sometimes strife in the home. Are you feeling a little lost? Sometimes feeling alone. Waking up in midnight. Do you remember your dreams? Riding a raft on a cool, gentle stream. You could have peace like a river, love through the night. You could have joy like a fountain. My dear, you can be alright, 'cause you've got rhythm and harmony ringing in you. Love is true, peace is true, joy is true, true, true. Whatever way you're looking, there is something there to see. Is a life, paradise, or a prison? Tell me, what do you believe? We can have peace like a river and love from our souls. We can have joy as a beacon, guiding everywhere we go. Just let your heart beat the rhythm. Let the anthem we sing be. Love is free. Peace is free. Joy is free, free, free. Don't you know that joy is free, free, free?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Jennifer Nordstrom, honored to serve this congregation as your senior minister. Welcome into this multi-generational service where our children and youth will be with us in the service the whole morning long. The opening words this morning are "Map" by Linda Hogan. This is the world, so vast and lonely without end, with mountains named for men who brought hunger from other lands and fear of the thick, dark forest of trees that held each other up, knowing fire dreamed of swallowing them and spoke an older tongue. And the tongue of the nation of wolves was the wind around them. Even ice was not silent. It cried its broken self back to warmth. But they called it ice, wolf, forest of sticks, as if words would make it something they could hold in gloved hands, open, plot away, and follow. This is the map of the forsaken world. This is the world without end, where forests have been cut away from their trees. These are the lines wolf could not pass over. This is what I know, that a grain of dust dwells at the center of every flake of snow, that ice can have its way with land, that wolves live inside a circle of their own beginning. This is what I know. The first language is not our own. There are names each thing has for itself. And beneath us, the other order already moves. It is burning. It is dreaming. It is waking up. Will you please rise in body or spirit, and our beloved and delightful guest musician, Lea Morris, is going to lead us in our opening hymn this morning. Please rise.
Good morning, and thank you so much for making space for me to be part of your community this morning. I'm going to sing the song, and by the end it'll be familiar. So then I'm going to share the American Sign Language with you, and then we'll sing and sign together. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. So let's do that together. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. Listen. My hands are wide open. Eyes are wide open. Together. My hands are wide open. Eyes are wide open to see what I may be. To see what I may be. And then we go back to the beginning. I'm listening. A little difference. I am listening. Spirit, speak through me. Okay. So the first sign is I. We point to ourselves. And I wonder if it would be easier for everyone to see the sign if we sat, not to make this musical chairs, but if you would sit, please, while we learn the signs, and then when we stand, so in case there's anyone who's a little closer to my height in the back, then you can all see me. I'm listening. So you've got your thumb, and these two fingers are listening. I am listening. Foundation, and then spirit. 4 fingers. Speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. For hands, my hands are wide open. Eyes are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak through me. So sign for through me. So let's do my hands are wide open once again from there. My hands are wide open. ready to stand and sing and sign it together. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My hands are wide open, eyes are wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak through me.
I know you were just talking to us in many ways, but this is the time for all ages hummingbird moment. Leah's gonna talk to us some more.
Some more. So most good stories start with, once upon a time. So we'll start there. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful, vast, glorious forest. And one day, there was a spark, just one spark, and the entire forest was set ablaze. Everything was burning. The heat was overwhelming, and all of the animals who called this forest home immediately began to flee. They ran as fast as they could away from the fire, like any creature would do to preserve their lives. And as they were all running, or flying, or crawling, or slithering away from the fire, there was one animal who flew a little farther, and that was the hummingbird. The tiny little, seemingly insignificant hummingbird with those tiny wings that when they flap so fast, they sound like a bug. Bzzz, you know hummingbirds. The tiny hummingbird flew away from the fire, just like all of her companions, until she came to the river. She dipped down and scooped up a beak full of water, because that was the only way she could carry it. And she then began to fly back in the direction of the flames and dropped her beak full of water onto the fire. And then she flew back over the heads of the fleeing animals back to the river, scooped up what she could, and then began to fly back. And as she flew back the second time, some of the taller animals noticed that she was doing this, and they cried out, "Hummingbird, what are you doing? That way's the fire, this way is safety." And Hummingbird kept flying. And she went back, scooped up water, and she went back. And every time she returned, her feathers would get singed. And it wasn't easy. The air was thin and there was smoke and she could hardly breathe. And still, she kept doing these return trips, and every time she would bring another load, a little hummingbird's load of water back to put out the fire, the animals would shout at her, "What do you think you're doing? It's a lost cause. Stop now, flee with us." And she never did. The only thing she did was once, out of breath, on a return visit to the river, when one of the animals asked her, "What do you think you're doing?" She answered, "I'm doing the best I can." That story was told by Dr. Wangari Maathai, who most certainly did the best she could with her beautiful life. invite you to sing a bit of this song with me. I know you probably don't know it, but I'm going to sing. At one point, I'm going to sing. Giving my all, giving my all. And when I sing that, would you sing it back at me? Giving my all, giving my all. Brilliant, thank you. Hey, hummingbird, I'd love to join you best as I can. Our precious world deserves my heart and both of my hands. Giving my all, giving my all. Life as an art requires my heart and both of my hands. Giving my all, giving my all. Doing, you find me doing the very best that I can.
I invite you to join me now in a time of contemplation, which will be followed by silence, followed by the seated singing of hymn 123, Spirit of Life. Take a moment and ground yourself in your body, however you do that. You can try and follow your breath in and out. Or feel the movement of the air on your skin. Or feel the heat in your belly. Come into being here and now. Spirit of life and love, Holy One of our being and our becoming, that which is sacred within, among, and beyond us. May a larger love help us expand. Expand our hearts wide enough for all of the difference and the power and the complexity of this world. May our in-breath help us open to all the different ways that human beings see and know. And may our out-breath send loving care to all those who need it. This breath, intermingling with all that is and braided with love, weaves around all beings. May love hold. May love hold those in the middle of the high holy days right now. May it hold all those in fear of rising anti-Semitism that is braided with grief and trauma and loss. May love hold. May love hold all those in fear of falling bombs and state violence and rising Islamophobia and grief and trauma and loss. May love hold. May love hold all those harmed by Hurricane Helene, those looking for food or clean water or loved ones. May love hold those who have lost so much to the rising tides of climate change. May love hold us. May love move us to do the best we can to love our neighbor, to carry our small beak of water, of resources, of comfort, of support to those suffering, holding always the sanctity of all life. May it be so.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. I'm Nancy Spranzi, and I am very pleased to serve as your worship associate. We are a faith community of many identities. We welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, ethnicities, histories, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all that you are carrying today and all that you long to set down. We welcome all the people watching online as we live stream this service. Hello, online folks. We especially welcome guests joining us today. If you are a guest, we invite you to fill out a welcome card located in the pew rack in front of you and drop it in the offering plates, which will come around in a few minutes. After the service, please join us for a social hour across the hall in the Lea House Common Room. Some accessibility notes. You can find hearing assist devices and large print hymnals and orders of service at the back of the sanctuary, as well as worship activity bags for children and anyone who wants them. There is a fragrance-free area in the front pews on the right, and if you're watching online, you can enable YouTube's closed captioning on your viewing device. Some announcements. The Climate Advocacy Hour is today at 1 o'clock. It will include UU the Vote, UUs for Social Justice, and the UU Service Committee. On October 13th at 1 o'clock in the sanctuary, join us for a screening of Bad River, a film that details the Bad River tribe's decades-long fight to shut down the Line 5 pipeline that travels through their land in Wisconsin on its journey from Canada to Michigan. Today at 12:30, join other UU men for a charter meeting of a new group that explores the intersections of being male and UU. The group will meet in the young room downstairs. Contact Steve Seek if you have any questions. I welcome you to share in our first church worship and purpose by inviting you to join me in a unison affirmation of our mission, which is printed in your order of service. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action. Every week, we have an opportunity to practice our values through sharing our resources. Our pledges are at the core of our spiritual practice of generosity. This week, we are directing 100% of our plate to disaster relief for victims of Hurricane Helene. All non-pledged donations collected today will go to Beloved Asheville, a local nonprofit organization with experience in mutual aid, food distribution, and equity. On-the-ground volunteers are collecting and distributing a wide array of supplies, and with no paid staff, all donations go directly to the work. The offering will be gratefully received as we remain seated and sing 112, Do You Hear? May the practice of giving bring us joy. I've done a lot of listening as a pastoral care associate, a chalice circle facilitator, and a theme circle facilitator. I learned that what I heard in those settings was important for my own growth and understanding of other people. In our small group ministry at First Church, I felt I was, and still am, providing an important ministry for our church community. I love the interactions of the circles and the connections I've made with other members of our community. In 2000, my mother died. It was the first really significant loss of my adult life. My mother and I were close, even though we lived a distance from one another. Drew Kennedy, our minister at the time, suggested I talk with a pastoral care associate. At first I thought, oh, I'm fine. I have lots of good, loving support. Then something made me reconsider, and I asked for a PCA. I don't remember who the PCA was, but I remember our conversation. She called on me at my house one evening after supper. After our brief hellos, we sat in the living room, and she said to me, "Tell me about your mother." It was a simple request, but it had a profound effect on me. I was amazed. What a wonderful invitation. I felt she really wanted to hear my mother's story. I told her several stories about my mother's life, as well as what she meant to me, and the PCA really listened. I must have been holding tight onto my memories and my feelings. Her listening opened up my insides in a way nothing else had. It gave me a place to go with my grief. I often process my thoughts and feelings through talking. They emerge as I talk. That evening of sharing my mother's story, my relationship with her, enabled me to grieve her loss and to find a way to grieve. I could appreciate what my mother had achieved in her life and the joys of our relationship and all she had given me. That experience taught me what deep listening can be. It is such a gift. It is truly being present for another person, listening with one's whole self, and caring about what the other person is saying, with no thought of fixing, answering, or advising. I had been listening to others for many years, but I didn't really know how important it was until it happened to me. I've been a much better listener as a result, and I am particularly aware of giving and receiving the gift of listening.
A pair of cousins went for a walk. One of the cousins had been raised in an urban environment in the city, and the other was from the country. On this particular day, the country cousin was visiting the big city, and they just went for a walk, just to enjoy the environment. The loud, busy, bustling environment. And there was construction, and there was traffic, and there were people shouting and dogs barking. Just a great deal of noise, like you always find in any big city. And in the midst of all that, the country cousin said, "Ha! Did you hear that? It was a cricket." And the city cousin looked over and thought, I don't know what the words are for, but you know, you know that thought sometimes. And finally, that cousin, the city cousin, said, "I'm sorry, I think you're making that up. There aren't any crickets around here." But the country cousin was absolutely certain. "No, I heard it. There was a cricket." And wouldn't you know, as they continued their walk, just a few seconds later, one of the few blades of grass was home to a little cricket who was rubbing their legs together and doing that cricket thing that crickets do. The country cousin pointed, and the city cousin was impressed. Said, "You know what? I stand corrected, and I realize now that you country people have a great sense of hearing." But the country cousin said, "You know, I'm not convinced that that's the reason. I want to try a little experiment." And that cousin took a coin, a quarter, out of their pocket, and flicked it, and let it fall on the concrete. And everyone who was around immediately turned towards the sound, suggesting that we all live in our realities and tend to hear what we're used to hearing. It might behoove us to open our ears and our hearts and our minds to listen for different types of sounds and voices in the world around us. So this song is inspired by that story, and when we come to the end, I would like to invite you, as you're able, to whistle along. There's no melody, there's no prescribed. I see somebody already like, "Oh my gosh," but just do it. You know, there you go, you're already warmed up, so you just go for it. And I've never tried this before, so we'll see just what kind of beautiful chaos we can make together. Are you listening to the falling leaves? Are you listening to the calling trees? Are you listening? What do you hear? Are you listening to the water dry? Are you listening to the lizards fly? Are you listening? What do you hear? What do you hear? Well, I hear days come and go, and I hear babies growing. I hear clouds silently float by. I hear time as it's slowing, and one thing I know is I hear life. I hear life. Are you listening to the new day song, or a voice telling you that everything is wrong? Are you listening? What do you hear? Are you listening to the love within, to the well where every good thing begins? Are you listening? What do you hear? What do you hear? I hear ideas sprouting, child within me is shouting, there's a new thing, you ought to give it a try. I hear vision becoming, I know nothing is wanting, I hear light, I hear light. Here we go. Beautiful.
In the science fiction novel, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, cities come to life when the power of enough imagination and creativity and myth comes together. One of the characters in the book explains that whatever can be imagined exists somewhere. Human beings don't understand the power of their thoughts, the character explains. When you imagine something, you create it. When I think like that, I'm a lot more careful about what I think. Do I want to build worlds of horror, whether those worlds are just in my mind or in the multiverse? Or do I want to build worlds of love and fun and play and joy? In 1997, Julia Butterfly Hill climbed an old-growth tree in the redwoods forest to protect it from being cut down. The Pacific Lumber Company was cutting down old-growth forests for wood in Northern California, and many different environmental groups were trying to stop them. That logging was not only killing these ancient, beautiful redwood trees, it was also destroying salmon habitats and causing massive hillside erosion. Pacific Lumber cut down so many trees so fast that there was a landslide that buried a town. Julia Butterfly was part of a group that protected the trees with their own bodies. They would go into forest areas that were marked to be cut down on the night before the cut was scheduled, and they would either block the loggers from coming into the forest at all, or they would climb the trees so that they couldn't be cut while there was a human in them. One night on a full moon, the group climbed the tallest, oldest tree in the grove, which was marked to be cut down the next day. It was ancient and gnarled and lightning struck. It was over 1,000 years old and over 200 feet tall. 1,000 years old. That's older than our church. That's older than this city. It's older than this state. It's older than the entire United States. The night the young people climbed that old tree, they built a platform in it, and they named it Luna for the full moon. Julia Butterfly had felt a deep connection with redwood trees since the very first moment she stepped foot in the forest. She experienced them as spiritual beings, as connections to the earth and the earth's majesty. Julia felt a connection to universal spirit through the trees. In a 1998 article in the Los Angeles Times, Hill said that she was overcome by a sense of spirituality emanating from the massive, ancient trees. Killing those trees was a cruelty that Julia thought could only come from being disconnected from the spirit of life, from the living earth that gives us life. It's vital that we start reconnecting again to the earth, Hill said. We are beginning to die because we've lost that connection. Trees, they are more than just ground securing, salmon protecting, oxygen producing, carbon sequestering beauty. Although they are all of those things, trees are also alive. They are majestic. They are living beings that outgrow and outlive us by a long shot. Science has shown that trees talk to one another. They use a chemical communication system to warn other trees about danger, to share resources, to protect one another. Trees are the kind of ordinary magic that we see every day, but we don't necessarily pay attention to. Like the cricket and the coin, our mind goes to what we're used to hearing. Listening to the trees, listening to the earth, listening to the ordinary magic of the world that sustains our lives will help us connect with that world and hopefully motivate us to do what we can to save it.
Miracle or wonder
Yesterday, 20 or so First Church folks gathered here at church to reflect on the connections between Earth and climate and humanity. We made maps of Milwaukee's specific climate and justice challenges and how those things are connected, from poverty to a racist prison and legal system to inadequate housing to gender discrimination, all making climate disasters more dangerous for people who are marginalized. Then we spent time brainstorming how we could overwhelm each of those challenges in our city with love and care and connection. From the church becoming a resource center for community care, to developing neighborhood teams, to using more non-fossil fuel energy, to supporting food pantries. On a book tour for the novel, The City We Became, N.K. Jemisin had audiences all over the country personify their own cities. That means making a thing into a person. She asked people, what would it be like if your city were just one person, a character, an avatar that represented the whole city? Who would Milwaukee be if Milwaukee were one person? What would our job be? Our gender? What would our race and ethnicity be? How old would Milwaukee be? What would our relationship status be? So I'm going to ask us to actually do this imagination exercise with the folks that are sitting near you. So I'm going to trust that you can be in charge of clumping up and talking to people who are nearby. And if you don't want to talk to anyone this morning, I'm going to trust that you're going to answer the question in your own heart. So I am going to assign you parts, though. So folks here on the left side of the sanctuary, when you clump up and talk to your neighbors or feel it within your spirit, decide what Milwaukee's occupation is. What do we do? Okay? So y'all here in the center, but the left side of the center, you see this middle line here? Y'all on the left. Your job is to decide, how old is Milwaukee? If we're a person, one character, are we 22? Are we 57? Are we 5? You tell us. Y'all here on this side of the center line, your task is to decide what is the race and ethnicity of Milwaukee. All of you here on the right-hand side, your job, what's our relationship status? Okay. Back pews, what's our gender? Got it? Those in the, not pews, the seats. Sorry, wrong word. You got it. Great. Balcony, Milwaukee, what's our sexuality? Are we straight? Are we gay? Are we queer? Are we pan? You decide. You tell us what we are. Okay, you all, good luck. You've got 4 minutes. that's been about 4 minutes. Who knows? Come on back. It's okay if you haven't come to consensus. I'm going to let you shout it out anyway. All right. Come back, friends. Come back. We have to be quiet because we have to hear everybody's answers, all right? All right, we're starting on the left here. Clumps, just shout it out. What do we do for a living?
Water resource engineer.
Water resource engineer. Planet advocate. A sculptor and a brewer. Bivocational. Great, all right. You folks, what was your job? Age, how old are we? Early 40s. 45. 70. 36. 1,000 years. Because what? Because the Native Americans were here. We're 1,000 years old. Okay, so y'all, what is our race and ethnicity? Multiracial. Multiracial. There is consensus in these pews. Okay, great. Y'all, what's our relationship status?
It's complicated.
It is complicated. I think you won worship this morning. Anybody else?
We're 6 years old with strong opinions.
Great. We have strong opinions at all ages in this church. Okay, the back pews, what's our gender? Female. Fluid. Gender fluid. All right. Balcony, what's our sexuality?
Straight for the first part of our life, and we accept ourselves for pansexual.
Straight for something, but pansexual now. All right. Thank you, everyone. Milwaukee is all of these things. So when Jemison asked people to imagine the city as a person, Jemison was asking us to imagine someone that we'd like to get to know. Someone that we would like to care for, to hang out with, maybe eventually someone we would even love. So if Milwaukee were a person, how would you treat them? How would you care for them if they were worried about insecure housing? How would you treat them if they were worried about racism in the legal system? Yesterday, when our members were doing this exercise of mapping challenges in Milwaukee, one of the things that our members noticed is that maybe there would be climate refugees moving to Milwaukee at some point, maybe because we have so much clean water, or maybe because this is one of the places in the country that it's supposed to be less dangerous as the climate keeps changing. But I remember Asheville being characterized as a climate haven for many years. People moved to Asheville to be safe from climate change. And today Asheville is underwater. And there are newspaper articles out there now saying there's no such thing as a safe place from climate change. There's no such thing as a climate haven. The kinds of once in a lifetime, once in a millennia storms, those kinds of storms are happening all over the place, all the time now. Climate change is something that cities are worried about today. Climate is not just a problem for the future of cities. Listening to one another and imagining who we might become has the power to bring new worlds into being. Listening teaches us what kind of world we even need to imagine to begin with. Yesterday in the Climate Revival workshop, we listened to one another, to our dreams and to our imaginations, as well as our worries about the climate and our city and its communities. And yet we spent a lot of time imagining renewal instead of imagining collapse. We spent our time imagining what the future of our city would be like with all people in it thriving, all non-human beings in it thriving, where everyone, everywhere would have what they need, communities and ecosystems and watersheds were nourished and thriving. We used that imagination, that vision, that hope as our compass for what we want to do today and who we want to partner with in order to move towards who we want to become. So next week, in connection with our climate revival today, we have an opportunity to listen to Indigenous people from Wisconsin, water protectors who are fighting against an oil pipeline in northern Wisconsin. After church next Sunday, we'll be honoring Indigenous Peoples Sunday by showing the film Bad River, which follows the Bad River's tribe's resistance to the Enbridge oil pipeline, and it connects the dots between Indigenous land rights and water protection and climate. We need to keep listening, and we need to keep imagining. We need to listen to marginalized communities, to people who are most likely to be most deeply impacted by the injustice of the current system in order to imagine the city we want to become, the community of thriving of tomorrow. Eventually, Julia Butterfly's more than 2 years sitting in the tree saved the 1,000-year-old redwood named Luna. Because of Julia's long tree sit, Luna still stands today, along with all of the other trees around it. Pacific Lumber Company, on the other hand, it killed too many trees too quickly, and it went bankrupt and had to close, stealing from worker pension plans along the way. Luna is now being cared for by a nonprofit called Sanctuary Forest, which tracks her health and well-being and tends to the forest around her. I had a friend who used to say that she listened to the trees. When she first started saying that she was talking to trees, I rolled my eyes because I didn't understand what she meant. And I was confused and a little annoyed, but I also tried it. And now, sometimes I think I can hear them too. Whether that hearing them is in my own imagination, or whether I'm hearing my own inner voice, or whether I'm in a connection, a bridge to non-human longing, I usually hear the same message. Protect me, the trees say. Protect me and care for the earth, and live your values, and rest, and love. That's the message I always hear, and maybe if you listen to the trees, you'll hear it too. No one of us has to do everything, but each one of us is called to listen to the world, to our neighbors, and to the quiet longings of our own hearts, to listen and learn from that in order to play our part, do our best in building a better world together. May it be so. Dear ones, I just want to say that that was a song that was commissioned by the UUA for the Climate Revival, and Lea is the co-author of that commissioned song with Adam Pod, so it's really special to have her here with us, leading us in it. Will you rise in body or spirit? For our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home, may we be a part of it, dear ones.